Right, what is going on, guys? Young 46. So we are going to do a little talk about misdinging. All right, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Now, if you're a Flash player coming over to this version, you know that there was that line that kind of ding is king. But in this version, that's not really the case, which should be appealing to a lot of people, right? Especially I hear it from a lot of people that struggle to hit the ding. 10, 15, 20% ding rate on Flash. I can tell you I have about right around a 60% ding rate or so on Flash. This version, on a good day, I'll do 20. Most days I'm somewhere between 10 and 15%. So I had to look and say, okay, how can I still score in this game without hitting the ding? One of the advantages we have on this version is there's a lot of forgiveness. Short, early, there's a ton of forgiveness here. Essentially, you can make, what I essentially did was make the ding bar, instead of being size of a small hair, I just made it massive. I just made it 10 times bigger than Flash through misdings. Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the round. Now with drivers, I'm usually trying to ding unless there's just really somewhere where it's very important that I don't miss early or late, and then I just cancel out one side. Misdings are really, I found it to be really good. Now there's disadvantages to it, but for the most part, it seems to be really good. And one way it seems to be really good is the 3-wood. If you guys watch my stream or watch my videos at all, then I'm a huge fan of the 3-wood because it's so perfectly balanced and goes right where you hit it every time. I'm obviously lying. It's really bad. The 3-wood is really bad. There's no way to sugarcoat it. What you can do in this version is you're just kind of, and I'm guessing here. I'm playing everything by feel. I'm playing wind aim, you name it, everything is by feel. So for this case, got this wind going right to left. So I can either work it with the wind or against the wind. I tend to like to pull it. Notice the 3-wood works a little bit better when I'm pulling it a bit. I'm going to just figure out where I need to set this up and then just hit a big pull. If I was hitting a 3-wood. In this case, we're not. But for the example, in case I don't get to hit a 3-wood today, this is what I would do. So I would aim, I would let the meter go through, and then I'd miss somewhere in this area. I'd just basically hit just a little forced pull in there. But we don't have to in this case. So if I'm hitting like a 3-iron, say with this wind, like I said, you get a lot of forgiveness. So I'm not even going to move it. I'm going to keep it at the hole and then just try to miss a little late. And this is one of those holes where if I come up a little short right, it's actually pretty optimal. So we really don't need to do a whole lot. In this case, I'm just trying to miss just a hair late, like not much, just a hair. I did, but I think I went long. We went a little right, so that was one of those rare cases where we didn't get a lot of forgiveness. So that brings me to that point of the downside. So there are instances where the forgiveness kind of comes and goes, right? There'll be times where you can miss really late and it ends up going dead straight and it doesn't go offline like you intended it to. And then there's cases like this where you just barely missing it and it still goes way offline. I will say that happens mostly in low winds. The low winds has always kind of been, for me personally, in terms of having to hit the ding, more paramount in low winds than anything. There seems to be a lot of variances when it comes to low, whereas medium or moderate and heavy, you can tend to get away with things actually a little bit better as long as you miss on the correct side. So something to keep in mind. The same thing with putts. There's so much forgiveness on your 15-foot scale. Anytime I can hit my 15-foot scale, even if it's 99%, I'm going to. As long as I'm missing on the right side, which in this case with this putt, I would want to miss anywhere on this side. Like literally, I can miss here and I really won't see a lot of deviation. Now, if I miss a little late or with the break, then you're going to start to see some deviation still. So you just have to be very mindful about which side you're missing on. I'm going to try to focus up and maybe get lucky and make this putt. See. It's not an easy one, I'll tell you that. But who knows? We might catch a little luck or we might not. But again, anytime I'm hitting shots in this version, because I can't really rely on the ding, I'm getting better at dinging my putts, but still, I'm always thinking, where is the safe miss? And in this case, it's going to be late. So we never want to miss with the dots unless we think we're overplaying the break. And in that case, we might miss with it. But here, I feel like if anything, I'm going to miss on the other side. So I want to make sure I'm not missing this putt on this side, right? So I don't want to help the break. I want to hinder it a little bit. So that was a good putt. Again, even with drives, like, you know, this hole, you don't want to be on the left. I got a little bit of room to the right, so why not just aim down the left? And then worst case, I just hit a little push here. So I'm thinking ding or push, more so push than anything. I kind of double crossed myself there. But low winds, we're okay. Gonna have to think about that, right? Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't set yourself up on this version where you have to hit the perfect shot. It's just not really gonna pan out more often than not from what I've seen. So here again, this is one where I'm not gonna move the aimer. I'm gonna take my 9-iron, hit it about 95.5%, and I'm just gonna pull it a little bit early. We know we're within 10 feet. And we've hit a really nice shot. One thing I've found on this version is my hole out rate from the fairway has gone up dramatically hitting misting. And I think holes like this right here, I've always found this hole to be very difficult, and very ding dependent on flash. Whereas this version, the trickier holes just seem so much easier to. Holes like this, holes like Marion 17, Marion 18, any of those holes, a lot of the par threes on Aaron Hills where dings were very, important. They just don't have the same relevancy that they did before. That makes sense. So here, and again, I'm just doing it completely by feel. It's downhill, so I know the wind's going to hit it a little bit more. So I'm just aiming kind of out here. And then I'm just literally picturing my ball flight, where I want this thing to come in. And then just correlating that, somewhere like right here or right here. I think I have a decent amount of room to miss. But I don't want to go too nuts because obviously we have 40-50 rough here. So I'm going to plan it a little by feel. At least that's the way I've found the most success, which is crazy because I've been kind of a math player the whole time. Yeah, misting that. I need to misting it a little bit more, but obviously the threat of 40-50 rough kind of made me lean a little bit more towards this side. Again, that's a really good shot. If I'm on flash, I'm extremely happy with that shot. And I felt like that was kind of a bad shot. I could step up and hit that, 50 times in a row on this version. So in a lot of ways, again, I find this version easier. The putting just takes some getting used to, but overall hitting shots, especially with the misting method, is going to be really good for guys that have been struggling to score because of their inability to ding on flash. That's a little bit trickier of a putt, but for the sake of not making this video 800 minutes long, I'm just gonna take a good guess here. Again, I'm thinking I want to miss here. I needed to miss a little bit more. One of the things I forgot to tell you, if you're in reverse view, everything's opposite. So basically, if I'm in this view, I want to miss here. But then in this view, it's the opposite. So it would be this side. So that would be with or against the break. This would be with the break. I always like to putt from reverse view. I think it's just a personal preference. So I think if we would have really read that a couple times, probably would have made it. But for the sake of this video, please don't get too obsessed with me trying to make putts. Trying to keep it within a certain time constraint as well. All right, but still talk through kind of the strategies of what I'm thinking with the mistings. So this is another one where I'm thinking I could definitely move the aimer a little bit, but I'm kind of comfortable maybe just hitting the, just leave it where it is and just mistinging it from there. As long as I play this correctly, I think we'll be okay. And it's a wedge, so I can really kind of move it a little bit more with the wedge. And I'm thinking, in terms of mistings, it seems to move almost like opposite, like real life golf. I can swing, I can hit like a big hook, so to speak, with my lower clubs. So I'm actually going to try this shot not moving it. And then just try to maybe throw it a little bit past and spin it, maybe. It's going to be a decent misting. Yeah, I should have misting that a little bit more, but maybe the forgiveness kicks in. Yeah, need to misting that decent ways more. Eight's kind of my cutoff. Normally I would have moved that over a little bit. That's a little far to move it over. 8 yards is kind of hard to cover without losing distance. Now, if we start misdinging out here to cover 8 yards, we're gonna start losing 3, 4, 5, 6 yards depending on the club we're hitting. So there is a point on here where you do start to see some distance loss. You got to be a little cognizant of that. But for the most part, you're not going to see a lot of distance loss, which is good. But again, there's going to be those times where all of a sudden you're going to lose, especially as I hit 3, 4, 5 irons, where I start seeing 3, 4 yards short if I try to miss ding a decent ways out. So just know that. Again, that's like everything else, right? There's pros and cons to this. Right? This is a putt we really actually need to make, but we'll see how it goes. Oh no, I overplayed it. I did see the slower break in this view, I just ignored it. Again, more focused on, usually when I'm putting, I'm trying to hit the ding or I'm trying to miss on a certain side. So again, right to left break, I'm trying to miss late in forward view. You can play the shot a bunch of different ways. I just kind of like playing punch full back. Leaves you a little further back, but you're always going to be in the fairway. You'll never hit that branch. This is going to be a really nice miss ding. It's going to be that perfect number where I don't need to move the aimer. We're just going to miss ding it. Should be really nice. Be a nice, perfect little 5-iron. Maybe think about backspin, so I'll take a little bit off of it because I know it's going to spin back. And just miss ding a little late. But with the slope and whatnot, I got a wide margin I can miss late because everything's going to come back towards the hole anyway. So we played that very nicely, very nicely. This is a very tricky hole. Hopefully I don't miss this. This is my Achilles heel right now. I'm working hard on field putting. Ramming is still a struggle for me. But we're getting better. All right. This is one where, again, I don't want to pull it into the bunker. I've got a decent amount of room to miss late. I'm thinking ding or slightly late. That's got to be your mentality if you're playing the miss ding style. It's where's my trouble, okay, and then I need to block off one side of that ding bar. So it's almost like if you take this ding bar and break it in half, your focus is on hitting the right half or the left half or just past, right? You're always eliminating one half of the bar. I think if you do that, you'll find a lot more success. The only struggle is sometimes you'll double cross yourself, and that's just going to happen, unfortunately. All right, so I've got a decent number in here. Should just be a nice full 5-iron. Kind of the same mentality. Take a little bit off. I just took a little more than a little. Yeah. And then I want to pull this. And again, I'm thinking green side. If I'm left of the pin, that's not bad. I'd rather over pull this than under pull. That's pretty good. Mind you, Olympic front nine is a very difficult course. Very difficult 9, in my opinion. So if I'm normally 4 under through 6 here, I'm not too upset. Again, with this ding, I'm thinking, where do I want to be? Where do I not want to be? Obviously, that bunker is bad. So I'm thinking aim here and just go ahead and miss late with the wind. So kind of hold it up against the wind a little bit. I can miss really late here and still hit a really nice shot. It gives me the most room to screw up. Basically what I'm thinking. Whatever gives me the most room to make mistakes. And we hit a really nice shot. All right, not a whole lot to this putt. It's usually one I never read correct. In the essence of time, I don't know. I feel like I should probably try to make this putt, but I'm just going to go right here. I'm just going to feel putt it, which I very rarely do. And again, I broke it up. I said I'd rather pull it than push it. And we hit a nice putt there. All right, so then this is another perfect little misting. Don't even have to worry about moving it. Step up and just place it. I'm gonna hit kind of like a knockdown 3-iron a little bit. Knockdown in the sense that I'm not gonna hit it full power because I want to control spin. I'm just gonna hit this about 95% or so, and then I got a decent amount of room to misting late. I could have missed a little more late. But we hit a really nice shot in there, and we got a nice easy putt, so that's a win. Again, wanted to pull that putt, miss early versus late because the dots were sloping that way. We always want to try to miss with the dots. Again, kind of like thinking like hold it up against them. Here I'm thinking we would rather, I mean, either way is fine. I've set myself up where I can pull it and push it. This is one where I'll probably actually try to ding it. Because I don't really care which way I miss, we'll find the fairway. As you can see, I didn't hit the ding. I very rarely do. So that's what kind of necessitated my need to play like this. So this is a really good win. So what do we do when it's a straight wind, right? When misdinging is difficult because dead straight. So what I would tell you, or what I do, is I create the angle. Create the angle I want. So where have I been missing the most this round? I've been missing late. Late just kind of seems to be where I'm missing right now. So I just go ahead and set the angle up to miss late. Right? I'm just giving myself that option where I can still hit a good shot. So I'm kind of almost playing for wind that's not there just to make it the wind I want. That would be my advice for you. Learn how to do that. And you just got to play around with it a little bit, right? It's something you just get more comfortable with as you do. We play a little bit late here just because that just seems to be my tendency on this round, right? And that's going to change from round to round. Sometimes I'm going to be hitting more pulls than pushes, right? So know your tendency of the day and set yourself up for success with it. I can tell you sometimes, especially with longer irons, I said this earlier, the pushes tend to go a little more offline than the pulls. So maybe if I was hitting a 3-wood there, I would probably set myself up for a pull versus a push. 5-iron and below seem to play pretty similar no matter which way I do it. If I pull it or push it, it's very similar. All right. I mean, we got to make this putt. Got to make this putt, right? Can't go and miss the last putt of the day. And we hit the ding just for good measure. All right, so that's a pretty solid round. I don't know many folks that wouldn't take 8 under on Olympic Club front 9 regardless of the conditions. It's still a really good round. And we hit 3 dings out of 26. So ding rate was about 11.5%. Pretty standard for me. Like I said, somewhere between 10 and 15 on most rounds is going to be my ding percentage. Yeah, overall pretty good round. I felt like we probably would have made the putt at 3 if I would have read it a little bit better. And then the shot at 4, I should have moved the aimer over just a hair and then misdinged it a little later. But all in all, very solid round there. So hopefully that sheds a little light on misdinging. Again, it works on heavy winds, moderate winds. I was kind of hoping this was going to be moderate or heavy. It just worked out to be low. But if you have any questions, make sure you comment down below. If you want to see me play live, go to twitch.tv/young46. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell icon. That way you get notifications on the next video. And I will see you guys later.